Voice chat knows. What stock is that again? Welcome to Read the Room with Unc. Yo, what is up, everybody? It's Unc back with Read the Room. I'm coming off a pretty, hate to use the word, pretty bearish week, but definitely a lot of things retraced last week. Some things just fell off a cliff. But what I always notice in these situations are things at respect levels. Still always looking for the opportunity in the market. So with that said, let's get right into the hot list. Keep this thing moving forward this week. And a repeat from last week's for sure is AMRS, this chemical company. Again, it just kind of took it on the chin. Didn't really get out of the zone from the last weekend. Fell to a lower level. Still like this chart playing back to the 461 range. Flow still suggests a higher move later in the year. Again, a company that should just break trend, especially when you look at it bigger time frame. Plenty of gaps to fill here. You should probably be in the voice session on BlackRock Coffee here if you're new to it. We covered kind of the entire history of the play, the way we look at each of the levels here, from our original target, from the original all-time high, and how those play back for the secondary move. This stock has a lot of volatility, almost back to the top end of our original range. Flow still suggests that there'll be a higher move up in the future. I believe we have July 30s. Not necessarily that's going to get to 30, but that we should just have an upward trend from here. So this one's going to stay in the rotation. Also fits kind of a sector we like in general with the consumer goods. And bro, I guess it'd be a sympathy play to BlackRock Coffee, along with Starbucks, which we talked about a little bit. This probably has the better flow read with July having 60s and then 80s a little further out. Just another good chart. This one still kind of got clapped on last week, but not as bad as most, holding this higher level here in the low 50s. Even that 50 to 60 move, good enough range to trade. CDE, mining stock, and there's a few of them on here. We'll get into the miners. Took the silver off, kept the miners on. This kind of just fell back to trend line a little faster, so I do want some confirmation. But the original $4.50 to $5 range, still kind of the zone I look to trade. The uptrend is still established, and it didn't really break yet, but I am watching that for a little more confirmation than just one candle. Flow still suggests everything's okay in this. Just another nice setup that had probably a little overreaction or pullback the last 2 or 3 days. Got in charges a little bit. There's a few on the list this week. Charge points, again, on another level that has been confirmed before. Actually have stronger flow reads than the 1450 we're at here. The floor is looking like 1550, so we're below that. Again, just another range we've traded before in a sector that we like. All right, this one's actually new to the list, Carvana. The flow reads are better than average on here. They're just kind of like more volatile, not necessarily a direct read. Got a very nice established range. The commonality we had here is the 84, 85 range. So I kind of want to see if we can break this trend line, which is why we threw that up. If we can break trend line and maybe reestablish the 90, there's plenty of range in this thing. As you see, this chart was $400 in the summer. So the used auto have been taking a beating. This one's looking to turn around. The volatility in the option reads are why we're following this. We look to get a clearer picture in the near future, so be mindful watching for this if they do get called. DNN, another mining stock. Again, that 2 candle through a zone. Very similar to CDE. This is kind of the range where we started, the 135 to 165. Still got that $2 flow read that's strong, so why we're staying in these plays. I actually changed that line to green for the professor because I put the $2 line on there just for him. I usually don't like to put those up there until I'm confirmed on that support and resistance. But for now, the 130 to 160 fits my risk reward ratio really well. So this will stay in the rotation because mining stocks have seemed like they have been a bit of an overreaction here. Donuts, one that's staying on the hot list, actually kind of held where the not only the level we had, it made it to it last week, but it held it through the lack of better term sell off on Friday. Just look for continuation here. Really no new news, but definitely keep it in the rotation, especially if you're already in this. Callaway Golf. This one I like in general. Products you use fits that, and I just like where they're going in general. The range has been pretty good, somewhere around 20, 25, 27 is where we're at. This actually came from the professor today instead of on my side because of the flow reads being so strong. 20 to 27, the current channel with strong leaps outside of that range. So that's what we're looking for. This probably isn't something that's going to happen overnight, but it is set up to maybe get a push out of this ER. That's kind of what we're looking for here. EVgo, another charger, just broke the 12, right back to the 994. Kind of went through the trend line even, so do want to be mindful of that. Another one where the professor, the flow read still suggests the 11 to 13 range is where this should be. So maybe a little overreaction with the sell-off last week. If you've already been on this, continue, especially if it's been a successful. Let's spend a little time here on FSL talking about how candles react to support and resistance lines and what to look for. This basically just reset finally. Again, the sell-off the last 3 days kind of put it in a range where probably shouldn't be this low. I like to play the channel, but if we can get confirmation here on a higher low, especially under 5, maybe get a little bit of a better trade out of this. 4s and 5s this week on the flow, so pretty much at the bottom. If you can get $4 ads, I think this is a steal this week. Another new one to the hot list, FTCH, Farfetch LCD. Didn't really talk much about the company, but Professor always finds the ones that have decent flow read. This has 1250 for May, and then some $15 to $20 leaps June and July, and then even a bigger number after that. So getting back out of this range is pretty much all I'm looking for. If you can get down here 10, 11, I think you're pretty safe. 17 is where I would want to recheck the flow if I was still in the trade. Great setup, especially with the flow reads being so strong back in to this gap up in here. For me, anything above 21 seemed like an A+ signal. Groupon stand on the list, same thing. Really didn't do much last week. A little affected by the sell-off, but the setup's still there in the flow, as well as the TA side. Still like where this one is at and headed. HYMC getting very close to that 131 level, 150 psych. 131 level is kind of what I'm watching this week. Just waiting for the volume to come back in. The flow is still strong on the upper side here. $2 calls are still showing up with a lot of quantity. Where's AMC you guys at? Where are those apes at? Like this one a lot, just from a TA standpoint, higher lows, and this has yet to knife. Even on Thursday, Friday, this really didn't get too much lower than it did, which means people aren't selling. IMAX did take a little bit of a hit with the sell-off that was happening last week, but the flow setup is still there. Everything still looks good on this play. For me, this is, I don't say it as much as I preach it, but this is a good buy red candidate, especially with the ER coming up. IMPP, we did cover crappy energies a little bit. This is the one we kept on the table just because of the flow read still pretty strong in it, and dollar flow seems like a good, the dollar level seems like a good risk reward place to get a good ratio. Also talked about not expecting this $8 move, maybe even this back to this $2 or $3 levels. Probably what we're looking for in this play. Like anything, volume does matter, especially more in these, for lack of better terms, pump and dumps. JMIA, same thing, continuation here. Actually held up pretty well last week with the sell-off. Not too much of a drop. 875 is kind of like it's still in the middle of the zone. 7's probably the better floor. 650. So we're kind of right on schedule there. Still strong flow reads in this. Kind of just weathering the storm right now. But this should retest the 11-12 range here real soon, as long as we don't get continuous sell-offs again. LILM, another continuation from the hot list last week. Same thing, just holding this level real well. Flow reads are still there for the move north into the $6 and $7 range. Just be mindful that the where the low was is 230. I don't think we'll test that again, but we definitely get down here around the 240, 250 range, depending on market conditions. LRN Stride, new into the hot list. Flow on this one was pretty spectacular. For me, it just needs to pull back just maybe a little bit more. I like it to the 33, but I don't think we're going to get 35, which is what the flow suggested. And then the leaps are great on this to the north side, getting above the 40. So just be mindful that we might have missed the initial move, but if we get some pullback here, the ads aren't bad, especially under 35. Nat, another good one. Nat and ASRT kind of have peaked at the wrong time, but this pullback's good, especially if we can get down closer to this 260 level. Flow's still there for these guys. They're moving oil, so it's a little different, but that sector still should be good throughout the summer. OEC, another one the professors finds. He has the floor here at strong on the puts on 15, and then in May 17, and then 22 in October with the leaps. The 15 to 17 range kind of lines up on the TA side. I think we will get a little more pullback here into maybe the high 14s. I'd be looking for that, and then look for strength through the 17s. Great setup, though, on the technical side from the professor. Win over Penn and DraftKings. These are kind of a little slower plays, but they're staying on the list. Just everything set up for them to make a decent move upwards as soon as the news and or a catalyst comes in. Last week really didn't affect them. They were up and down, kind of sideways action. So if you could trade that sideways action, more power to you, because this is a good spot in the chart. But yeah, you can see Monday's low was 35.98 and 35.70 on Friday. The highs were 38, almost 39. So it's kind of just sitting in this range, forming a frying pan bottom. DraftKings had a little more of a dip, but both of them same sector, same kind of the company backing them. So Barstool Sports. Plug down here on the EV charger list. Just like the way it's holding this level. Flow read suggests 30s inbound. That's where most of the activity is in the options. This just has good range. Just look for a higher low to establish. 20 would be my under 20. I would be a little worried, but if it holds anything above that, good time to get in this in an uptrend. Talked a little bit about the offer on RAD, what that meant to the stock price, how much the offer equates to the stock price. Also talked about the idea of somebody else coming in with a counter offer, getting two parties bidding. Could really move this thing. We're kind of at a floor down here. I like this both from the shares on the option side. I just think that the news needs to come to it. Roblox as well. Had a little bit of I believe it was a complaint about advertising to minors last week, as well as with overall market conditions. But you can see the floor is forming. It's not wanting to go much below the low 30s here. Also talked about how this is probably more of a long-term play than something to day trade. But we're getting to the point to where the range and the floor are too good to look the other way. So we're going to keep it on the list and be mindful when you're playing this to either take your percent or set up for a long-term position. All right, space plays. They're all down here at the bottom, so we haven't really talked about that, but that was the next sector we're still in. RDW is the best for mine. It just holds this $6 level so well. The flow read isn't the greatest in it yet, but the technical analysis side is really holding this level. So I think we can move, maybe 6 to 7 fairly quickly if we get above this 8 with news. You could definitely have 100% runs on some of these space plays. Rig got a little hit, little overreaction to me. I'm just looking for a higher low to form here. Not even close to the trend line. $4 level kind of stands out to me to see if we can get some confirmation. So if you add between then and the 438, as long as it gets through 438 with strength, I think you're in a good spot here. Just look for this to continue through the summer. It's going to have higher highs and lows, but overall trend should stay to the positive. Rocket Lab, another space play, just bouncing along. 775, 776 is what I have down here. Maybe even go a little lower, 750. Just again, another good technical setup for me. And this one and the VORB, which we'll get into in a second, were the two with the better flow reads. Just a fun sector to trade, in my opinion. SWN, this one was a hard one for me to kind of find a spot on the technical side, but it had leaps to 10 that were just overwhelmingly strong. So we're looking for pullback maybe to 7 before we think about entering the trade. But it's just really, it was a really hard spot when it gets overextended like this. Personally, I would say $6.75, $7 is where I'll enter on share side, or we just will wait. But with the flow read to 10, the options will probably be a little bit easier to play here. UEC, as well as UUU, two uranium plays. I gotta get that on here. This one kind of pulling back to the level, just watching for confirmation off this level, higher lows. Nothing to worry about. Actually, probably a good healthy sign because this was getting a little overextended. We'll throw this one up here too because it should be on here. And UUU is another one. This one actually is down on the 817 we have on the line. Same deal, overextended, retesting the zones. It's good to see, especially if you get confirmation off of this level. Confirmation would be a couple candles. And next we have USFD. Believe this is continuation. We actually turned the support into resistance from last week. Flow read still suggests a stronger move north, so we're going to keep it on the list. And VORB, I actually do like this chart. It's a recent IPO. Anything under the volume profile is kind of how I look at it as a good setup. So another space play with stronger flow reads, probably because this is a recent IPO. Anything below, again, anything below 6, I think you're good. Playing this back to 7 at minimum. And I kind of talked about Zillow. Even making it back to 50 from the flow side was looking good. And then everything else on this just getting back into the channel kind of looks like where we should be after this overreaction. Fits the crappy app. It's a little bit of real estate, so it kind of covers a couple sectors we're in. For me, even back to 50, as long as it shows strength, I'll stay in it. If not, I would get back out of it at the 50 level, but definitely oversold at this point. And real quick, this one was on the list and I didn't get in here, so it's out of alphabetical order. But EAT has 520 45s. This looks great, especially off of this level of support. Kind of lines up with the RTL box, the 45 does, and 36 being the floor right here. Expect this to be called on the option side this week. All right, now a couple things that I have from my scanners, screeners, and notes that either we've played before or that I'm seeing this week. I just want you guys to be fresh on. First off is DNA. Cathie Wood's buying. Below volume profile. Don't think we're going to get down to the 2.8s where we were before, so I'm watching the $3 level. If we get dips to there, I'll definitely take it. Price targets on this were 6, even playing back to the 4 or 5 level I like from the $3 range. This is also kind of runs with XSPA a little bit, and I mentioned this a week ago. We're in the zone, just waiting for confirmation that we found bottom. You can see it's all downhill, especially since we got into the zone. So you see this thing go below $1, it's probably when I'm gonna be taking a fairly large position in it. I'll alert when I see the trend change, but right now the trend is still $1. A couple social plays. This LGVN, just kind of setting up nice on the chart. I wouldn't stay in this too long, but definitely becoming scalpable with some of the range. I mean, this thing's moving $9 to $13 that day. This is 10.85 to 12. You know, it's $2, $3, $4 range on the day. Just be mindful, especially with these green candles. This is last week, and it continued the uptrend, even though the market just kind of looks like it's being squeezed a little. So if volume comes in, this is a great scalp look. And the same thing here. You can see the same familiarity in the chart. Pele talked about this one. I like the price point on this better. This could get going, especially when we get into the gap. Again, just kind of another low float momentum play. Try to get as close to the dollar as you can here. Same thing with Mullen. Just waiting for confirmation on a level. It's kind of looking like we're getting it right here on this 130. But I'm see if we respect RTL a little better here down at 125. Probably is going to jump off at some point in time. Time it's damn near impossible. Set alerts. Have percentages planned and take your profit when it's offered to you. Me and the professor both kind of like this 170 level on this DIDI. Know that they're about to vote whether they're going to delist or not, or whether they're going to have a vote. They're going to vote to have a vote on delisting. So be mindful of that. That's a catalyst that's coming up next month. It's kind of a little bit of a lotto, but the chart's pretty much set up for it to have a substantial upside move if they do decide not to have a vote to delist. Talked about CBAT being a really good PR company. Like where they are in the chart, they actually have a new technology out, and they're going to have their books audited by an independent company. So when those financials come out, should be a good catalyst. Just trying to be early on this one. Again, specifically, I just like their PR department. Yeah, I talked about no definitive flow read or definitive bottom on Fubo. Kind of talked about this. Just comes a point in time where this becomes a set and forget it stock. For me, if you can put a little bit away and sit on this for 4, 5, 10 years, think you'll be in a good position with this company. Day trading it, it's just all downhill. We need to find the trend change or play the pops back to the range. Right now, we just can't get a good read on where the actual floor is. But personally, when we do find it, I will be taking a rather large long-term position in this because I do believe and like the long-term future of this company. And next to just kind of charts that I play all the time that are getting real close to the zone. SDC's right on 2 to 260. Kind of see the channel it's in. Rinse and repeat stock. Some knockoff Invisalign. And Chegg, another one that prices is buying the 20s, selling the 30s. Had a really good run last time, almost to 40. So it's kind of interesting that we did drop down below 27 for me. This one I'm looking to kind of make a quick turn back and at least retest the 30. Even if we're going to fail, I look for a quick retest of 30 from here. All right, everybody, let's have a good week. Let's have a plan. Take profits in our percentage when they're offered. Remember, we can always re-enter trades. Always can re-enter trades. Hot list will be out later. See you guys in the room, and let's have a good week.